At NC International, we try to do different things because the fundamentals of our teaching is rooted for the future. It's important that we recognize that the future for the next generation is rapidly changing environment. While traditional English learning is important, it's even more important for us to give the tools of what our children need for the future. Many traditional things in language learning have been different over the past years as well. Dictionaries are now a different physical format. The way grammar and syntax are taught in many different ways compared to traditional form. There are so many great online reading platforms that helps us track students' reading, and most of all, the environment of English learning is a lot more abundant if we put forth enough efforts. The wealth of information and the abundant amount of videos and knowledge we're able to acquire over the internet is amazing. And that's always a good thing for language learners. The more you're able to surround yourself in, the more frequency and familiarity you will have gotten from the language. And that's always a good thing, being able to bring the world into the classroom.
Traditionally, in reading, it's always chock full of memorizing vocabulary words and only focused on comprehension. When a student is struggling in reading, it's important that we actually understand what is happening with them. Just making them consistently increase their vocabulary isn't really going to help them that much. And it has a really low value because learners will constantly need to memorize everything that they read. Meeting words initially and being familiar with them and meeting them again. I think that's a process that's really important. It'll help them over and over to help learners learn organically, but also in a way that they won't forget. Through the materials that they read about, it's also important for them to know that the content is just as important as the academic skills. We want our students to think about the things that they're reading, and also they're part of the world. So what happens in the world should be something that our students need to be aware of, From lower levels into higher reading levels, all the cultures from around the world, the higher levels need to learn about current events and news. It's important that our students are not just from a monocultural English environment or speakers in class. Meeting words through reading familiar words, comprehension of current updated topics from around the world, these are all important things that we focus on our reading class.
So at this school, we understand that it is most important that the materials that we use in class are up-to-date and filled with a lot of cultural references. And unlike most courses, listening is not a single specified skill, as a lot of people think it is. It is actually an accumulation of one's own ability and how much you can understand the language right now. So listening includes your vocabulary, vernacular, and familiarity with the grammar and its structure as a whole. So we also understand that for our students to understand something from the listening class, we should actually use some real-life subjects, and that's exactly what we do at this school. So with that being said, listening is one of the most important ways of getting input from a language other than just reading. So in our materials, like books, we try as much as possible not to focus on topics that are not interesting. We actually do the topics that are interesting and relevant to the young minds. So that's we do not use old edition books. We keep changing our books over and over again, and that's one key that gets students involved in class. So to sum up, students are going to learn about the world in general, and they're going to learn about different cultures, and they're going to hear about a lot of things that they could have not heard as they grow up.
About the NCE grammar classes, the classes put more emphasis on students' life applications and are more practical in life for students. Different from the traditional classes, students can experience various activities involved with speaking, listening, and writing skill in grammar classes. In the grammar classes, we often have group discussion and pair students together to have conversation practice, which make them to observe people and listen different point of view from the other students. They can also be very creative and also be a contributor to share their own idea to others. On the other hand, all grammar classes include pop quizzes. This aim to enhance their abilities and also benefit teachers checking up if the student completely understand the concept they just learned in the class.
Writing is a structure. Writing is a set of rules. The reason why writing has always been so difficult for Taiwan students is mainly because they do not read enough. When we read other people's writing, we also learn how to write. But all those things are not important at all if you have nothing to write about. Over the many years of teaching, we have come to realize that bad writers does not mean bad English. Many times, it's just the fact that nobody has ever asked the students to think for themselves. In our writing, we will be introducing structure on how to write and the rules of such. But more importantly, we want the students to be able to dig down deep and find themselves through writing. We want to teach our students the structure, but more than that, we want them to be able to utilize their own writing to form their own opinions and thought. More than 50% of future interaction will be based on digital text in some form or another. So writing expressively and persuasively has become a very important task for our young students today.